Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Feeds here, and I'm back with another video on the best settings for Call of Duty Cold War. That is the controller settings and the graphics settings. So when you go into your controller settings, if you're playing with a controller like how I am, I play on 6.6. That's personal preference, whatever you guys feel comfortable on. The ADS, I play on 1.1 for both. I play tactical flipped, so I have tactical as my button layout, and then flipped. So I shoot with my bumpers instead of my triggers, which is faster. That's personal preference also. I don't really mess around with invert, vertical look. Aim response curve time. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. In this game, linear is terrible. Standard I've been messing around with it for a little bit. I was playing on dynamic, but with this new update for season 1, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. I don't know why. I'm not really getting aim assist with dynamic, but I've been getting, it's not really a big difference, but I've been getting a slight more aim assist with standard. But you guys should mess around with that. Play with standard maybe for like 4 or 5 games, see how it feels, and then switch to dynamic and see if that's any better. I disable controller vibration because I'm not really trying to mess up my aim or my movement when my controller is vibrating. Plus I don't have the rumbles in my controller. Target aim assist, you obviously want that enabled. Target aim assist mode. Standard, I don't really mess around with these. I might, but for right now I just plan on standard. ADS aim assist, obviously you want that enabled if you're playing with a controller. Same thing as target aim assist. I don't really mess around with the airborne mantle behavior. I have before. It's not really the best to mess around with, so I just leave it on automatic. Aim down sights behavior, obviously you want that on hold. Same thing with steady aim. This is for Warzone or if you're playing Dirty Bomb. So you can, instead of holding in triangle, you can press triangle once and it'll apply all, or it'll just apply one. So apply all is probably your best decision for that one. I don't really mess around with this either. The stick layout I don't mess around with. Left stick min input threshold is 5 because of my controller. My controller has a weird latency. It has a terrible dead zone in it. Well, I mean, it is a pretty old controller, but that's besides the point. You want to leave the input or the max input threshold. You want to leave these on 99. These should be default by 99. I have my right stick on 10. The auto move forward is disabled. Auto sprint. Now this is for if your left joystick doesn't want to sprint. Sometimes you can just enable that, and then all you have to do is just push forward on your controller, and you'll start sprinting. If you have it disabled, then you would have to push down and forward for it to start sprinting. So this is really, really good if your controller won't let you push down, or you push down and it's not really going like how it normally does. So that's really, really good to use, but I leave it off. I don't really like using auto sprint. It's pretty much preference wise, that's all it is. Sprint behavior, I leave that on toggle. Sprint cancel reload, I have that on disabled. Parachute, and then everything is just the same. For graphics settings, I play on windowed full screen just so I can get in and out of the game easier. I understand you do drop a little bit more FPS on PC with it, but for me it's only like 5-6 FPS that I do drop, so it's not really a big difference. Obviously, I have this on my main monitor. My refresh rate, I'm playing on 144 Hz, but you should always have this on the max. VSync, both of these VSyncs should be disabled. You don't really need these unless you're getting a lot of screen tearing in your game, then you should enable these. But for me, I don't really need them. For the low latency, I leave this on normal. I have tried boosted. Boosted doesn't really do anything, in my opinion. If anything, I get for like explosions, like cars blowing up, like tanks blowing up on maps, like what is it called? The combined arms. Like if you blow up a tank, this helps with like a smoother like explosion, and it doesn't really drop your FPS as much. But I don't really play that as much, so I leave it on normal. I leave this on 100. I've tried 1.5 and 110. It doesn't really make it that much better, but aspect ratio should be automatic unless you really want your aspect ratio to be on a certain point, which I just leave it on automatic. Colorblind is up to you guys. Field of view, I play on 120. I know some people that play on 115, 110, 105. Some people play on 90. So this is whatever you feel comfortable with. I recommend the ADS field of view. Leave it on affected. It's so much better than independent. Brightness, I leave this on 100. I know some people that play on 50. It pretty much just up to you guys on how you want that. These four. Frame rate limit, I leave it on unlimited. The minimize game frame rate limit, leave it on 60. Texture quality, and this is where if you have a low-end PC, I recommend putting almost every single one of these low. If you have a pretty decent high-end PC like how I do, some of these you don't really need, and it's just eating up a lot of your FPS in general. But I leave texture quality on low. I don't recommend lowest at all. If anything, if you do want to up it, I'd go medium. I wouldn't go high or ultra or anything like that. I'd definitely go low or medium. Model quality doesn't really make a big difference, but if you want your game to look nice while you're playing, I go medium. Again, with this, I wouldn't go high. The 4K interface textures I have disabled. I did download the HD game textures and models. You don't need this at all. I downloaded it because I thought it would do something, but it doesn't. The special effects quality, medium. Don't really need it on high. Screen space reflection, disabled. If you want your game to look nice, I'd recommend low. That's it. Object view distance, you want this on the highest it can go, which is high. This is so you can see enemies from farther away, and they're not just a blurred pixel that you have to shoot at. It helps so much when you have it on high instead of medium or low. This you don't really need. The lighting, I'd put it on low. Don't really need it. Shadow quality, low. Dynamic shadows, now this is up to you. If you want to see shadows while enemies are running across the corner, I do all. If you really want to see your shadow, I do self only. But I have it on disabled. I don't really use shadows. It eats up a lot of FPS and not really useful. Special effect shadows, disabled. You don't need this on enabled at all. Weapon shadow, you don't need that enabled. Ray tracing, all of these should be disabled. NVIDIA DLSS. I have tried performance, balanced, quality. I didn't really try ultra performance. None of these really did anything. Kind of just ate up a lot of my GPU and some of my CPU time to time. But I was dropping a lot of FPS. As soon as I disabled it, it was so much better. I was getting at least 40, 50 more FPS than what I was getting with it enabled on one of these. But anti-aliasing quality disabled. You should also have this quality disabled. Motion blur 100% you should have disabled. Motion blur quality low because you can't disable it. Surface scattering disabled. You're not really gonna pay attention to anybody's face when you kill them, or your characters at the main screen. It doesn't really matter. Transparency disabled. If you want your game to look nice, I recommend low. VRAM usage I leave on default. I've played with it high, doesn't really do much. Display gamma I'd recommend computer. Unless you're really playing on an HD TV, then I'd switch it to that. Make sure you do not leave it on auto select, because if you have two GPUs, or if you have I had an Intel graphics, I don't know, it was something Intel graphics. It was for like a third monitor that I had plugged into my motherboard, so I had to download it. It kept using my 2070 Super, and then once I get back into like the main menu, it'd go over to the Intel for some odd reason. So make sure you do select the graphics card that you have, so you're not losing FPS or bugging out your PC because it can't support it. Hope you guys enjoyed. That was my controller settings and graphics for Call of Duty Cold War. Hope it helps you, and have a great day.